And again, the whole thing is this isn't just a local, state. This is a national movement that's going on. This started a couple of years ago, and there's movement in some states. So we aren't going to be on the cutting edge of this. There are some things that are proven. And again, there is, we had this already. We had QComp. We had evaluations going on. So we already tested this. The problem is you had to get the teachers in your district to go along with it. If it's mandated, again, mandates, as a conservative, I'm not so happy with, but to fix a problem that isn't going to fix itself, sometimes you do have to use a little discipline. A paddle every once in a while needs to come out and say, you guys, we're going to mandate this. This is a state issue. We're paying, the state of Minnesota is paying the bulk of it.
Right.
We can come up with the rules, guys. You don't like it, take a
Well,
hike.
and I think mandates have their place. What I don't like is the mandate, you got to spend here, spend
Right.
here, spend there. If a
Policy, a
right,
policy
yeah,
mandate.
policy mandate. How about something like pension reform? How important is that? I mean,
Wisconsin went through that, and it was a painful and illuminating lesson for all taxpayers everywhere, because that Wisconsin situation was a microcosm of what's going to come to the rest of the country, because Governor Walker towed the line, and he won the day, and they're not laying off any teachers in Wisconsin now. But the flip side of that is their benefits package is not as rich as it might otherwise have been. The question that Walker answered for the country is you can stand up to the unions. And
the legislators too, because they tried to recall a bunch of them, and none of that was successful.
Well, I mean,
to turn it around.
But the whole thing is if you look at where our money's spent, Ron, and we'll get into our own district later, but I mean, if you look at where the money is spent, so much of it is spent on people. That
80% plus is salary, wages,
typical
benefits. Yep.
But I mean, how do you, if you're ever going to cut the cost curve, how can you leave people off of it? People have to be a part of it, don't they?
You have to reform. That's what's killing them right now. Is there is they've cut what they could in those other areas. Their supplies, and they've
you
done
can't
things
cut
to
off the electricity, and you can't cut off the phone. There's only so much of the other stuff that can be cut.
Right. Because you still need administration, and that's still people and stuff too. But there's all of those other supplies that are necessary. You still have to have a billing.
Pensions and benefits are the white elephant in the room.
Right.
They're sucking all the oxygen out of the rooms. And historically, what has happened is that the teachers' unions, because they didn't want to appear greedy, they didn't ask for more money, but they asked for more benefits, and that came in the form of pensions and benefits.
Healthcare,
early retirement.
I'm envious of any public sector employee's pension. I've worked in the private sector all my life. I got nothing compared to them. Yeah. Nothing.
Well, nothing. I worked in public sector my entire life too, and all of the pensions you can't. If you're a new employee, you might. The older employees still have them, but new employees don't have them anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's the way you've got to go with this. Is I agree that if they were negotiated contractually, law says that, but new coming on, you have a different path for them.
Here's a good theoretical question. What happens when the teacher's pension fund goes belly up?
It gets bailed out by the state, just like the county and the cities are going to do. And taxpayers will pay it.
Perhaps we might see education reform then, because the teachers and the unions are going to go to the state legislature and say, we promise these people these benefits. We can't deliver on them. We need the taxpayers to bail us out. Maybe at that point in time, taxpayers will say, no.
Well, they already did it, because they already bailed out, I think, both Minneapolis and St. Paul's pensions. They were separate, and now they're in with everybody else and brought everything down.
And you talk about districts losing students. Goodness, Minneapolis and St. Paul, they're fleeing as fast as possible.
Yeah, they're trying to keep North open and with 200 kids in it.
I know.
Yeah. Which is a shame.
It's too bad.
And again, the community tried, and again, the administration, the school board, the school district, and stuff like that, it took outside pressure for them, because they already had a plan to close it down. not a plan on how do we keep it open. What do we do to bring students back? How do we get performance up? You know, the things that.
How do we close it down?
Yeah.
What's the?
How do we cut and run?
Yep.
Well, you know, I'll tell you one other thing that I'd like to see. This is something I'd personally like to see, and we're going to leave a little hook at the end of this show here for this. We've got to have a reduction in school districts. I mean, I look around, okay, and I see Hopkins, St. Louis Park, Minnetonka, Wayzata.
Anoka.
Well, and I also see,
Robbinsdale.
I see all these cities all clustered together, and they all have their own districts. You know, I mean, they all have, which every one of them has their own administrative people, their own superintendent. They're not making
board.
45 grand a year. They've got their own school board, their own bus service, or whatever.
Consolidation.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the districts have lost students. A lot of them have older buildings, that kind of thing. Where is the? I mean, if we redraw congressional districts and stuff all the time, why can't we redraw these school districts so they make some sense?
I would say
I'm going to let you answer that because I don't have the answer.
you know, it's an antiquated system, and again, I think it's going to have to come to urban America. It already has in rural. You're seeing, you know, some of the school districts. If you look at sports, go
Yep.
back to sports,
Are
the
huge
screens
districts.
they've got to double up on because they've turned so many. You're going to see that in the urban areas. It has to, because you have to get to an economic scale. We've got over 400 plus school districts, counting charter schools,
Yep.
that are each independently run. You can't continue to do that from an economic standpoint.
Here's the problem, though, Ron. If
There are no problems, there are only
no,
opportunities.
there's only solutions, right? Opportunities. If you pare it down from say 400 districts to
300?
50, then you've got 350 superintendents without work. Pulling down
But is
150.
that the job of a school to provide work?
Yeah.
I mean,
I thought their number one job was education. Isn't that? It's for the kids. It's for the kids.
That's
I
right.
remember. It's all
do it
for
for the
kids.
children. Well,
Yes.
that's right. I got to remember that our job's to employ people. But I mean, is that what?
Unfortunately, there's some irony there.
I mean, is that what stands in the way? Is that the number one thing that stands in the way of redoing these districts? Because I mean, the Robbinsdale district they haven't changed their. But when was the last time they changed their border? Have they
I don't
ever?
think they ever. I don't think they. As far as in the last
30 years.
50 years, they haven't
50.
changed. I don't think they've changed ever.
Okay, but
that I'm aware
we've
of.
got what, half the kids we had back in the 70s?
Yeah,
We have
roughly.
25,000 at
Yep.
one point. We
No,
got
we were
12
higher
now?
than that. We were over
Okay.
27 was the top, and we're down to 11, 12.
12.
Yeah.
And we're hemorrhaging.
Well,
students
actually-
Well, we
right now.
plateaued
No, we
the last
plateaued.
year or two, but
Yeah,
by
we're-
bringing some from other districts in.
Well,
but then we
yeah, come
lose
on
some
now.
out.
Yeah.
Some in, some out.
Like we hit a plateau.
the
now.
total enrollment.
The total
I think,
enrollment
has
has plateaued, and we
yeah.
actually the last 2 years increased slightly.
Okay.
That's
The
right.
bell
I
curve.
haven't-
The bell curve is down, just going to
I
skyrocket.
haven't
back
heard
up to
them
27.
complain about declining enrollment for a while.
Yeah, it's going to go back up to 27.
You know what'll fix that? A levy.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Well,
You cynical person.
yeah, you cynical people. All right, well,
I am cynical.
you're not cynical. You're just,
Pragmatic.
I don't know what I'll call you. I'll think of something. All right, well,
Big bald-headed cynic.
what are you talking about? I see 2 or 3 up
Yep.
there. Yeah. We're going to use this topic of reduction of school districts, bringing it local, to lead into the next program. So you folks at home, we'll see the second show next week.
Don't go away.
You YouTubers, the next parts are coming right up. See you next week.
Adios.
Adios.